Smugglers Run 2 on the PlayStation 2. This is a research stream of a game that I haven't played on the PlayStation 2 before, but I did play Smugglers Run Warzones on the GameCube. The GameCube version of this game I played on a Wii. So I have about an hour of footage there if you want to see how the game looks on the Wii. That game I believe was running at 480p. It was a progressive 480p resolution, and most importantly, it ran. I would argue it ran at a higher frame rate. So based on what I've seen of this game, Smugglers Run 2, I believe this is supposed to be the same game. I was curious if they were like similar but different in some ways, like Ninja Turtles and the Super NES compared to the Genesis. This is the same game. So, at least based on what I've seen so far, the tutorials and the missions all seem to be exactly the same. This is mainly me just dumping a bunch of footage from original hardware. I'm using a PlayStation 2 Slim to record this footage, and we'll see how the game performs eventually. The idea is that we want to be able to see how the frame rate holds up with some data where we're going to capture at 60 frames a second, knowing it's probably going to be a sloppy 60 interlaced frames a second. It's going to drop a lot. From what I've seen, it seems kind of choppy. So it's probably a choppy 40 to 50 interlaced frames a second, as opposed to the GameCube version, which was apparently I was using the Wii to output in progressive mode. I want to say that's what was going on. How do I can reverse with the triangle button. Drift, well, whatever drift. Of course, you can also handbrake to drift if you want. You can use the right stick to gas brake reverse. Sounds amazing. Hadn't thought about doing that before. The D-pad is for countermeasures. You press down on the D-pad. Unfortunately, I don't like playing games like this with analog sticks, but this is the modern era, so you have to play these racing games with analog sticks. So we'll start from the beginning. What's this, Joyride? Yeah, it's just listen to the tunes. Yeah, the music in this game is terrible. Just like the Wii version. I'll show you the movies a bit later because the movies are as ugly here as they were on the Wii U, or at least they were as ugly here as they were on the GameCube. So if you're like me, your argument was when I was playing the GameCube disc, why do these videos look so terrible? And then I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's the compression they were using for the playback on the GameCube game at the time. But my thought was that they would just put DVD quality movies on the PlayStation 2 version, and guess what? They didn't. So those movies are going to look terrible. After completing the first three tutorial missions, you will unlock the Hondo. We will not be using that here. We'll save that for another mission. When I played the GameCube version, my save game had unlocked about a dozen, maybe not a dozen. It had like 5 or 6 vehicles unlocked by progressing through the missions. I'm starting from the beginning, so all I have is this buggy to start with during the first tutorial missions. Once I'm done with those 3 tutorial missions, I get access to the Hondo, which is more versatile, but not as quick and not as speedy. So there's your problem. Like I said, I'm capturing this at widescreen 720p on my laptop, but we're going obviously on my television. This PlayStation 1 is outputting 480i, which is fine for a CRT. If you're playing this game on a CRT, this would look somewhat less. This would look somewhat less grainy. The natural anti-aliasing on a CRT screen would probably clean some of this up, but it looks extremely grainy. Like this looks like a Sega. This looks like a slightly better looking Sega CD game, if I'm being honest. Like it looks about as bad as your typical PlayStation video playback for a lot of these live action cutscenes. But this game came out after Grand Theft Auto 3, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess Rockstar had a bit of juice at the time. But my problem, obviously, with the visuals here is that, again, the aesthetic is they're going for this kind of grindhouse look, but it doesn't work because the video compression technology they're using here is just so god awful. So again, it looks like a cleaner version of what you would get on like a Sega CD, but it doesn't. It's not DVD quality at all. And again, if you DVD quality is kind of a thing because on this PlayStation 2, if you want to have, traditional, movie quality DVD cutscenes, you could do that. They took up a lot of space, don't get me wrong. Like a DVD had what? 2 hours of footage usually, maybe like it had like 2.5. Arguably, I think your average DVD had 2.5 hours of space, depending on how much compression you added to the video you put on the DVD back then. There were some movies. I think there was, what was it called? Yeah, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I remember had a special super bit disc with higher quality compression. I want to say the disc was about the same size, but they didn't have. I don't think they had any like bonuses. So it took up basically the entire space on the disc for higher quality compression. I want to say it was not common for DVDs of the era, but I'm just mentioning that because that's why the video quality looks so terrible. Because they use very bad compression algorithms for this stuff, obviously. Might have been MPEG 1, whereas remember, DVDs were mainly using commercial grade MPEG 2 compression back then. So MPEG 1 is basically like what you would get out of a Sega CD or a video CD back then, like barely, like basically like awful VHS quality video, like very awful, very grainy, like very just uniquely terrible. And I ran into that tree. That was not amazing. I did way better the first time I did this run, but whatever. I think they moved some of the. Did they move some of these markers around? Great. Okay. Yeah, I want to say the first time I did this, the markers were in different positions. Huh. Again, my memory. I played this about an hour ago before recording this video, so I don't know what's going on with this. You can see my best time there. So I guess I'm earning money by completing these missions. I'm not complaining about that. So like I said, you only have access to the super buggy when you first start the game. As you complete the 3 tutorial missions, you'll get this Hondo right here, which is better handling, not better in any other way, I would argue. Favors control and climbing, so it's about going up hills or making tight corners, I guess. Not really impressed with it. But yeah, again, you can probably see from the early batch of footage I just did, the frame rate seems a bit choppier than on the GameCube version I played on this channel. Again, you can compare the two if you want. I captured both games at 720p. Oh, at 60 frames a second. So if you want to do frame by frame comparisons, you can. The visuals look a bit grainier too. Maybe it's just me. It might be because they're interlaced. I don't know. But when I was getting progressive output out of the Wii, it looked fine. Not amazing, but fine. But again, I'm saying this, not, with no bias here on my part. I'm not invested in either console really. Let me put it this way: I'm not invested. I'm not invested in the GameCube as a console, but I'm willing to concede the GameCube version looks a little bit better. Hit the triangle button to handbrake drift at 180 degrees. But yeah, just eyeballing it, I would say the GameCube version looks better. But that's probably because I was playing through a Wii. I think the differences are pretty insignificant. As far as if you owned both consoles, I would just get the cheapest version. But it seems like the GameCube version runs a bit more smoothly with slightly higher frame rate, maybe slightly cleaner visuals. I would not be shocked by that. The GameCube was a more powerful console than the PS2 was. Again, not playing favorites here. I prefer the library of the PlayStation 2 way more than the game. Like the GameCube to me is like a whatever system. And now that the games are so expensive, I feel less of an incentive to go out and expand my GameCube collection. There are a couple more games I do want to buy eventually. I want to get my hands on Burnout, and I think one other game. Do I have? Yeah, I couldn't get my hands on Metal Arms. I have the PlayStation 2 version of that. I don't have the GameCube version of that, which apparently had the higher frame rate. Follow that guy. But what game was it? I do have Beautiful Joe, and I do have one of the Harvest Moon games, so I'll get around to playing those eventually. Again, low priority. I'm selling a bunch of newer games and using the store credit to buy some older games, so I can kind of. I'm sort of fleshing out my GameCube collection because I have a Wii sitting right here now. It was a gift from a family member last Christmas. Again, it's a used Wii that they had for years. They were playing a bunch of Mario Party games on it, I bet. Hold on. I lost my signal. Okay, it came back. But yeah, the Wii is not a console I expected to buy because I used to have one and I got rid of it. Okay, I'm losing my signal again. I'm sorry. Give me a second. You know what's going on. Hold on. I wonder if the HDMI is going bad. If I lose the signal one more time, I'll cut that out of the video. I don't mind restarting the mission either. Okay, let's try again. Hoping that things don't go out of sync this time. Yeah, I lost the signal a couple of times. I think the HDMI cable was going out of sync. I don't know what was up with that. But again, I'm playing with an interlaced signal out of this PlayStation 2, so there's no telling what could be going on here. Yeah, this sometimes happens during this mission where I'm trailing too far behind because I'm not taking the most optimal path to close the distance. During the jumps, you can try and close the distance. Uh-oh. How did I lose them? I guess I took a wrong turn, basically. Don't waste too much time climbing hills, I would argue. Because we were close to the end. Eventually, we get to the edge of the map, and we start, climbing some mountains. If you want to keep up with this guy, you're gonna have to kind of close the distance when he takes some of these jumps. If you know the path that he's gonna take, then you can start cutting him off like that. You can start cutting him off to close the distance. But it takes a while to get back up to speed, unfortunately. So you can stay close to him if you don't drift too far off the path. He's gonna take a right turn at some point, right? Yeah, right here. Yeah. So I knew it was gonna. That's bad. That's bad. So he's not gonna catch up. He's not gonna slow down, is he? He's not gonna slow down. All right. That was bad. That was my chance to catch up. Yeah, so taking some of these shortcuts might help me close the distance. There you go. See, it all works out. Got automatic transmission too. So what are you gonna do? But I always liked, all of the jostling your car does. I mean, I love the wide open fields. Sort of the open field racing, I guess you could call it. And I love all the bumps and jostles you take. So it gives you a sense of, it gives the racing in this game a totally different vibe than you might see in like a Ridge Racer. So I do love, there it is, see. So I do love again how dynamic the driving is in this game usually. I did like the GameCube game when it came. I played it on launch. I remember really liking it, but um, I was willing to concede that there wasn't a whole lot of depth to the game. But it was a perfectly, it was a perfectly suitable like arcade race. It's not an arcade game, obviously, but it was a perfectly suitable like arcade style racer. Came out on the PS2. There weren't that many. I mean, we had Burnout on the same consoles, and a couple of other racing games come to mind. But yeah, in that era, like if you didn't want to play Gran Turismo, you had a couple of good options, as I recall. I didn't play a lot of them, but I remember really liking Burnout, and I remember really liking this. And remember, back in that era, the PlayStation 2 era was when 3D graphics were getting over that hump because they went from being ugly and abstract in the mid to late 90s on the PlayStation 1 and the N64. And the PlayStation 2 comes out and they fixed the floating point math basically, so there are no more swimmy textures like there were in the PlayStation 1. No really ugly seams like you saw on the Sega Saturn 3D games, obviously. Less blurry textures than the ones you were probably accustomed to seeing on the N64. So this era was the era when 3D graphics finally started to like get over that hump. This isn't one of the better looking games on the PlayStation 2, but it holds up. It holds up not too poorly. Like again, PlayStation 1 games look ugly as crap. So that was never going to hold up over time. But PlayStation 2 games hold up a little bit better. And the later PlayStation 2 games hold up a lot better, I would say. So I will be playing more of those later in the year, most likely. Like I said, I'm clearing out a lot of my I'm clearing out a lot of the clutter in my PS3 collection, my PlayStation 4 and Xbox One collections, kind of clearing out a bunch of them. I got some Switch games I got to get rid of at some point. But once I clear out some of that clutter, I'm going to have more time to play more of my PlayStation 2 backlog. Because I know there's some PlayStation 2 games I'm not wild about either, but I captured a bunch of PlayStation 2 footage in the last couple of months, like back in the summer, so I can make sure my PS2 capturing is reliable. So we gotta grab the yellow. See, this is a familiar stage. This is the second training stage. It's just expanded. So we grab the yellow boxes. Ow. And we have to hit the red beacons. If you remember Driver on the PlayStation 1, it's a similar vibe. That's kind of what this game's going for. Because this game is about sort of the high-speed chase race. And because you don't have to worry about, cityscapes or any of that other nonsense. It's more free flowing, more free roaming, and I love that a lot. So this gives you the Driver vibe without all the frustrations of dealing with, narrow streets and such. Got him. That dude didn't even. That dude. I guess that dude took a bad path, trying to cut me off at the red beacons. Didn't get to me though. We're gonna drive here along the water, along the lake. You can probably swerve a little bit to kind of keep these guys off your case. Yeah, if you swerve a little bit, you might be able to get them off your case. The map is on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. What is it? Darn it. What is that? At 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock on the map, you see the little green bar. That's my health bar. I don't know what those blue ticks are. I have no idea what that means. That might be my wanted level, maybe. Oop, going the wrong way, probably. There we go. Not want to pay attention to the map occasionally. Okay, I'm on a time crunch. I gotta hurry up. I should make it, but I took a wrong turn in Albuquerque. Or White Sands. Took a wrong turn in Amarillo, wound up in White Sands. Got it. Done. Again, like Driver on the PS2, on the Driver on the PS1, it has that same vibe of, the cops are trying to destroy you. Like they're ramming into you at like 80 miles an hour. Like they do not give a cuff. So that whole vibe definitely works. So we can try this one as well. So again, we unlock the Hondo. I don't think we're going to need it. But again, this feels like an uglier, slightly choppier version of a pretty good, but still a very cromulent port of a GameCube game. But arguably, the GameCube version is the superior version, I suppose. But having played having played it on a Wii with a PS2 controller, I would say that it feels like the GameCube version is slightly better. I think it's a wash. I think if you're me, like I just bought Warzones a couple of months ago. It was very inexpensive. It was like less than $12, I think. So it's one of the more expensive games on the console. We gotta go around. Yeah, there were some stone walls here you wanted to avoid. They're kind of hard to see in all this clutter, unfortunately, because the walls tend to be the same color as the foliage, so it's not amazing. I want to say there are mines here. I've never driven over one, so I don't know what to tell you. Ah, didn't see that coming. But the truck served as a barrier, and they ran into it. Guess I should have paid attention to that, huh? Okay, so we're following the helicopter. Just a second. Sometimes a 180-degree turn allows you to shake and bake them. We are doing a bit of shake and bake, some turn and burn here. Chase the copter, chase the chopper. Get to the chopper. There he is. Dropped off another thing. We're gonna get it and do a 180. And see if we can head over here to the next waypoint, the next red beacon. Aim for the red vapor. I guess the shock absorbers on this thing are as amazing as I thought. But again, I love this dune buggy vibe. I got for that tree. So again, if I were to, I would definitely remake a game. Oh, got a tank. I would definitely remake this game. What? Don't remember that the last time I played. Guy used the triangle to use the hand. The triangle is the handbrake button and the reverse button. We have plenty of time left. I think we have to. Yeah, we're halfway there, so we have plenty of time left. Just don't. Just don't play sloppily. That was a bad hit that I took. There's regenerating health in this game? Okay, so there's regenerating health on my car. I'm not gonna complain about that. They're going the wrong way. Sorry, it's going the wrong way. And again, you can use the map to kind of like see the white cars, the white cop cars that are surrounding you. So you can kind of drift around, kind of shake and bake them a little bit, kind of get them to take some bad paths so that they don't ram you when it comes time to pick up the payload. You don't want them to ram into you. I don't think they'll actually take you out unless you're very bad. But they mainly just kind of make you waste time. They make it harder for you to get to your destination and pick up your payloads. You'll lose half a minute sometimes trying to swerve around and collect a payload if they knock you off your path. So you have to keep that in mind. So yeah, if they knock you off your route, it takes you about 20 to 30 seconds to get back up to speed, I would argue. Okay, I'm losing the signal again. If I lose it again, I'm going to have to readjust. Give me a second. Holding up now. But again, I might have to readjust later. This audio, I'm using a composite to HDMI converter. Okay, take 3. Let's see if we do it this time without losing a picture. Wrong way. Excuse me. Got all distracted again. See, again, it takes like 20 seconds to get your bearings back. There's the chopper. So it's hard to get to the chopper if I can't see the chopper. There we go. See if we can cut it off at the pass. Kimosabi. I was gonna say, was that a mine? There we go. Make the time. It wasn't a drift. I tried to do a drift. If I could do like a quick 90-degree turn, I might be able to cut them off. Like I said, shake and bake. Keep them from maintaining speed. And I don't know where the destination is. Is it up here? Yeah. Yeah. 70-degree turns, I guess, seems to work. Over here. We can lose them in the rocks. So we can actually slow down a bit because we lost them in the rocks. They're gonna have to swerve around the rocks to get to this place. Light tactical strategy I appreciate in a game like this. It's not that demanding early on. So we'll do a little bit of Rocket League, a little bit of what is it? Well, that's not the word I want to use. There was a game called Smear or Schmear whose name I don't want to complete, but this might be what's going on here. Which is basically we're gonna pick up the package and try to take it to the house. You know, Schmear. Hold on. Is the disc busted? Wow, this PS2's got a lot of problems reading this thing. Yeah, man, I'm probably gonna have to cut this off. Well, you get the idea. I played this game on the Gamecube. It's the same game. That's really all you need to know, isn't it? Yeah. So that's pretty much all you need to know. So that is Smugglers Run 2 on the PlayStation 2, being played on a PlayStation Slim. But yeah, this Slim is good for some games, but apparently I'm worried it might be losing the drive. It's a shame. This was a brand new PS2 that I bought. I bought this PS2 back in 2010, maybe 2009. Yeah, I just flat out lost the signal entirely. Yeah, I think we just flat out lost the signal entirely. See if we can reset it. So how about those Commanders, huh? They're playing the Steelers right now, so I'll go back and watch that game in a second. So yeah, this was Smugglers Run 2 being played on the PlayStation off a PlayStation 2 disc on a PlayStation 2 Slim, and I lost the signal again. This was captured. This was HDMI output is being placed through a SIIG capture device. It's a converter. It's a SIIG converter that uses YPBPR component video output into the SIG, converted to an HDMI signal. That HDMI signal is going to my J5 Create capture device. It's a 4K UHD capture device. 4K pass through to my TV. So I'm playing this on a flat screen TV at 480i. Yeah, the disc probably just couldn't be read. So this is being read in 480i, and I'm capturing this on my quad-core Celeron Windows 10 laptop using the Windows 10 camera app to capture this footage at 720p, 60 frames a second widescreen 720p. What I'll do is I'll take this video, smush it to a 4:3 resolution, but YouTube requires a 720p resolution in order to display the game at 60 frames a second. So you can get all the frames, but just know that we upscaled this to 720p using the capture device, and I'm going to use Handbrake to compress this video down to 960 by 720. It's interlaced video input, but we're going to get all 60 frames. I'm going to smush it. So you'll be able to see all these interlaced frames on YouTube. Be back later. I'll play more PS2 games in a second. Maybe I can get this Taito Legends disc to play.